Hello and welcome to Odds on Serie A Matchday 24. Dani, everything is about Napoli. Napoli in Italy, Napoli in Europe. This team is not losing. They are winning and beating every single team.
Well, I mean, the composure, the calm, the assurance, the class of who knows who is strong, of who knows is done so well, and they've done it again against Eintracht Frankfurt. Missed the penalty, no problem. Score another one. Second goal, a beauty from Di Lorenzo after that pass from Zambangissa, and the back heel from Gravascelli. I could have two or three. And in the end, they were comfortable. They see the quarterfinals, and obviously now they approach the game at the weekend at Empoli, plus 15 already with the Scudetto on their chest, virtually. So everything going well for Napoli, deservedly, must say.
Indeed. So let's analyze all the games, of course, with the tips from Dani Fisichella and also your tips. Leave in the comments your opinion, ask any question to Dani Fisichella, and of course, press the like and subscribe. And now let's go on with the show. And I'm surprised to see the schedule of fixtures of Serie A, actually, because the first game is Empoli-Napoli. Why Napoli are playing on Saturday after playing Champions League? I don't know. But the first game is at the Castellani, Empoli-Napoli, with the confidence that Napoli have. Of course, very difficult not to bet and back them. But Empoli, Dani, also, we were mentioning in the derby in Toscana that they were dangerous. They grabbed a point in Florence, and they could have won, actually, that game.
Let's start with Empoli. They were brave against Fiorentina. They had chances in the first half. They created a very good goal with Cambiaghi and missed a couple more with Caputo. And they confirm what we thought about them. They are a team that are comfortable in possession, comfortable going forward. They like to attack. In the second half, Fiorentina changed. Something changed, man and approach. Empoli suffered, as normally they do. They do concede a few goals in the second half. I think physically they're not as strong as other teams. So sometimes they do suffer in that respect. It was 1-1. Another great saves from Vicario. It was a draw, so it was well-earned draw. By the way, Empoli are the masters of draw. 10 draws in Serie A, including 3 of the last 4. And they are in such a comfortable position in the league, despite having only the 16 attack of Serie A. So they don't score many goals, but they are very good at taking the chances. And as I mentioned at the back, they got a super keeper, Vicario, who makes saves week after week, and I'm sure he's going to go to a top team next season. A few doubts for Empoli, a few injuries here. They might be without Cambiaghi, who's been so good recently, and they're certainly without Bandinelli and Akpro, who are suspended, and they host Napoli, who last season they beat 3-2. You remember that game? Napoli were winning 2-0 until the 80th minute, and then they lost 3-2. But that was the old Napoli, the Napoli that was fragile, that crumbled under pressure, that didn't have the self-belief and the strength that now they have. The game of Frankfurt is again another proof of how this team has changed and how recruiting has helped them massively, and buying young and quick players, well, normally is a good strategy for success. So, when you got Cravascelli, of course, and you got Osimhen up front, helped by Kim, who had another very good performance in the Champions League. Yes, I can understand why you finish on top. They are top scorer of the Champions League, 22 goals scored. The top scorer in Serie A, 56 goals scored. Best away team in Serie A. Normally, recently, when they travel away, they score and don't concede. They didn't concede against Sassuolo, although Sassuolo had a few chances. They hit the post, and obviously they didn't concede in the previous 3 Serie A games. For this one, look, the odds for Napoli to win are good, I think. They could be maybe a little bit of Champions League hangover, but don't expect Napoli to go there and lose the game. I'm going to go for an X2, which is a double chance, which is very conservative. And I'm going to hedge it a little bit with a both to score. So I know Napoli defense recently has been good. Opposition have had chances. So both to score X2. If it's a win to Napoli, it could be a win with more than 2.5 goals for sure.
A mini ACCA for the first game, Empoli-Napoli. We go to the south. We have Lecce, Sassuolo. Now Lecce far from the relegation spots, 10 points because they are picking up good results. They beat Atalanta on the road, also Cremonese recently on the road. At home, they were able to hold Roma, and they are hosting Dani Sassuolo, a team that, of course, you just mentioned the defeat against Napoli, but they are in good form.
They are, and they have found again the strength and power going forward. As I mentioned against Napoli, they did have the chances. I think they would deserve at least a goal. They had a goal disallowed, hit the post. It is a side that is still very leaky, still concede a few goals, but going forward they got more I will say them as well, they've got more self-belief. Recently they've been Milan, they beat Atalanta, they've been scoring more goals, scored 2 away against Udinese. They shouldn't be in the position where they are considering how good the roster is, but they're not going to be relegated. So they go to Lecce, I think, to play for it, and they face Lecce, who again has done it and won against a top team, won against Atalanta 2-1, caught them cold on the break, a goal after 5 minutes from Cisse, then another goal from a set piece. They are very good from set pieces, Lecce. And with the only 2 shots on goal, they scored 2 goals against Atalanta because they spend most of the time, Lecce, most of the games, defending their own half. But they're very good in the counter. That's why they're very good against top sides, because they exploit the spaces that top sides leave them. They are the 6th best defense in Serie A, by the way, Lecce. They conceded 1 goal less than Inter, but they are bottom for shots taken. So they are not an attacking side by any stretch of imagination. They are very good at taking the chances, and they're very good at playing on the counter as well. They are very, very solid compared to the teams that are, for example, in the bottom 3, and that will include Spezia and as well. Both to score here, 192. I can't trust Lecce to keeping a clean sheet these days, but I think they're definitely going to hurt Sassuolo on the counter. 192.
All right, Sassuolo always an offensive team. On Sunday, we have 4 games. The first one at the Dallara, we have Bologna-Inter. This is a tricky game for Inter, able to beat Udinese at home, but suffering. They are playing Champions League against Porto, and Bologna, Dani, 3 victories in the last 4 games. The last one against Sampdoria in the very last minute with a goal scored by Orsolini.
And this is the game where Inter lost the league last season. You remember that 2-1 against
Yes.
Bologna, the massive howler from Radu. That was the game that was postponed. The Inter then played it in April, lost it, lost all the advantage they had to Milan. And they go in this one on the back of the Champions League game against Porto, which we don't know how it's going to end as we are recording this on a Wednesday, but certainly it's where all the hopes and expectation and all the focus for Inter is. Minus 15 on the league. Very difficult to recover from that position. Inter have not been great recently in the league, I must say. They have struggled, especially against sides that don't attack them, they wait for them, against low, medium blocks. Inter, sometimes they look a little bit static, a little bit rigid. The ball circulation is not great, and the form of some of the key players is not quite there. Brozovic is back from after a long injury. Lukaku scored last weekend, but was only the 2nd goal this season. So he has suffered from injuries. He needs to go back to the full form, otherwise he's half of the player as he used to be. So they're really being carried by Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, what a great signing, and also, of course, Lautaro. But yeah, so far it's been a somehow disappointing campaign for Inter. However, let's not forget they're the only side in Italy that have beat Napoli. And they face Bologna, who have got 13 points recently without Arnautovic, and that tells you how good the work of Thiago Motta has been. He managed to give them a system, a style of play, independently from the presence of the top man, helped by Orsolini, who's having the season of his life, scored again 8 goals in Serie A this season for the Italian. They got 2 more points compared to last season. Bologna is a side that produces chances. Against Sampdoria were a touch lucky because Sampdoria missed a penalty when the game was 1-1, and then they score right at the death. But I think is a side that recent form, they've been really in the last 7-8 games a sort of Champions League form. They will be in the top 4. They're going to make the most of the fact that they obviously are rested during the week. And Inter, Yes, I mean, I'm not quite convinced they can do it against small, medium teams. They've not been able to do it consistently this season. The odds for Inter to win, that's why they are quite high, I will say. Reverse fixture, by the way, finished 6-1 for Inter. I'm not expecting that kind of score sheet. I'm going to go for Bologna Asian handicap, plus 0.75, 191, which means if Inter wins by 1 goal margin, you get half your money back. Any other result, Bologna win or a draw, you win 191.
This was one chook also tip. Bologna is in handicap 0.75. Etio is going for a double chance, tricky game. This one for Inter after the Champions League. And then Salernitana, Monza in the south of Italy. Salernitana only 4 points away from relegation. The home form is been awful recently, 4 defeats and 2 draws, and Monza's form away has been great. 3 consecutive victories away. They lost the Galliani-Berlusconi derby against Milan.
Yeah, and that was the first defeat of 2023, that 1-0 against Milan. They didn't produce as much as in previous games, although they had a great chance when the ball hit the post, hit the Tatarusanu back, and went over. So they were a little bit unlucky there. But Milan, in the end, managed to contain them. But okay, no problem for Monza. They had such a very good start of the year, and now they travel to Salernitana again, confident that even if they don't win this one, is not a problem. They're gonna be saved this season. They go there with a few key players missing. Birindelli, Marlon, and Rovella, they're all suspended. So is a player, 2 players in defense and 1 in midfield. But Churria on the left-hand side as a wing back should be back, and that's obviously a very important return for them. Salernitana, first game in charge for Paulo Sousa. He decided to play with a back 3, which is not used to do it. Fiorentina was playing with a back 4, probably to give the time to the team to know him a little bit better. He deployed the system that Nicola was using. The same problem with Salernitana is that after they concede a goal, normally they do not respond. They tend to let it go, and it was this case. They play well the first half, Immobile scored the first one, and Salernitana had no answer. They were missing a few players, and I think that's the key. As soon as Paulo Sousa can get back the likes of Maggiore, so important in midfield, Mazzocchi, the wing back, Dia, Fazio, maybe we'll see a different complexion, especially at the back. They've been really poor. Bron, for example, at a terrible game against Lazio. But the strange thing with Salernitana is that this is the team that has got more points compared to last season. After Napoli, they have got +7. They started the last season so terribly, but they're much better compared to last season. But now we are looking at potential relegation candidates, considering the fact that they concede far too many goals. They conceded 44 goals. They got the worst defense in Serie A. And obviously now with Paulo Sousa, it's a bit of a gamble, because Paulo Sousa is a manager that likes to play good football, to play possession football. Is different from Nicola. He's going to try and give Salernitana more of an attacking mindset. But is it the right mindset where you have to grind out results? We will see. X2 here for this game, so I don't think Monza are going to lose it, and over 1.5 goals. Put them together, the odds are not amazing because the way Salernitana have been playing, especially defensively. So 190, X2, so not a defeat for Monza, and over 1.5 goals in the game, 190.
Looks good back in Monza somehow for this game. David and Nicola sacked twice in the same month. Perhaps they rehire him, again for a third time. Who knows? Only in Italian football these things can happen. Next game, Dani, talking about relegation candidates. Spezia 2 points away from relegation, going to Udine, comfortable in the middle of the table, but none of these teams are winning games for Udinese. The last 7 home games, 5 draws and 2 defeats for Spezia, only 1 point in the last 5 Serie A games.
Spezia that should be with a new manager, we think, should be Semplici, Leonardo Semplici used to manage Spal, although for this one still the assistant or the vice coach Fabrizio Lorieri, which was a former Serie A keeper, will be on the bench. And against Juventus, despite the defeat, I must say Spezia were encouraging. I mean, they did something different than what they did previously. But first of all, Lorieri got rid of the back three, so they play with a back four, maybe to get them used to the fact that Semplici is going to come soon, and that's how he's going to play. So 4-2-3-1, more attacking. They created chances. Only a superb save from Perin prevented them to score against Juventus. And in the end, unfortunately for them, as it often happens, they lose because they cannot sustain the pressure for 90 minutes. I mean, really, Spezia is a side that he's not built, he hasn't got the quality, he hasn't got the strength to keep a clean sheet really in Serie A, especially against top opposition. Not helped by the fact that they lost the goalkeeper Drangoschi in the first half. It was replaced by Marchetti, who returned in goal in Serie A after 2 years, having played only 12. It's 41. Only in the last 2 years, he only played 12 games. You can tell he was a little bit rusty, especially on the first goal from Moise Kean. So a tough ask for Spezia. Maybe we'll see Nzola from the start, although Shumudorov has been decent. He had a few chances in the last 2 games. And now they travel to Udinese, who they were disappointed the weekend because I think Inter were there for the taking. And Udinese, after equalizing, they look so passive. They made so many wrong choices. They didn't have a lot of energy going forward. They could have scored the 2-1 with success, who missed the shot and the key pass, and then they conceded 20 seconds after. Seems like physically Udinese, they're not the same team as they used to be at the beginning of the season. So a disappointing one, really, for a side that yet still has more points compared to last season. But yeah, they've not been winning in ages. Can they win this one? I think they could, but I'm not sure they can keep a clean sheet either. I'm going to go for both to score. This is a very speculative one, considering Spezia form, but both to score 198. That's what I like.
Tough one, this one to call. Udinese Spezia. The best game, I would say, in this weekend is Milan-Atalanta for the Champions League battle. Milan, 3 consecutive victories, 2-0, back to the Champions League spots. And Atalanta is weird, Dani. They beat Lazio away. They lost at home against Lecce. They also lost recently against Sassuolo away. So they are out of the top 4.
It's strange because, again, it makes me wonder, were Atalanta built to fight for the top 4? Probably not. And not having the right squad, not having the strength in depth, now that Juventus has been penalized 15 points, kind of changed the plans in due course. And I wonder whether they've been thrown in a situation that is what they were not prepared for. They got less points compared to last season, Atalanta, worryingly, and it shouldn't be the case for a team that now is not playing in Europe this season. So they are dropping points here and there, and they started the season being really solid defensively, but now the old pitfalls, the old cracks emerged, and they do concede goals, even stupid goals from set pieces against Lecce. The second goal, the Lecce defender was totally unmarked. Also, what is worrying from Atalanta is that they start the game slowly. They already conceded 5 goals in the opening 15 minutes of Serie A games. They were without their own, and I think it showed at the weekend. There was not a lot of filter in midfield. They will be without Demiral for this one, but they get Scalvini back, who's so important, not only as a defensive player, but also to start the play. And now they go to Milan. Milan that's been rejuvenated by the change in formation by Pioli, we must say. 3rd consecutive clean sheet. The addition of Malik Chow in defense is working. A tall defender, athletic, very good with his feet. Against Lecce, we saw Tomori back at his best. A very young defense with Kalulu, Tomori, and Chow. The average age was 23 years old. So obviously, good things to come. I mean, we need to give credit for Pioli to be courageous and changing the model, changing the formation, putting the right players in the right position. The experiment of Messias as a right wing back, that was good. That was interesting. He never played that position, and he scored against Lecce. But it is a Milan that seems to be more reactive than proactive. That's not the Milan that won the Scudetto last season, that was strategically well put together and had more control of the ball. Now they seem obviously to mind more the defensive side, to try to be compact, and they can still not get the best out of Charles de Ketelare. I mean, this is the biggest flop so far in Italian football of this season. I mean, both for 35 millions, they really seems to not get fitted in, and possibly this system 3-4-1-2 or 3-4-2-1 is the best one for him, but he cannot get on the team. But the good news for Milan is that Mike Magnan, the goalkeeper, Magic Mike, is back for this one. Should be back, should be playing. If he's not back for this one, he's definitely for the next one, and he's definitely going to play against Spurs. And I think and I think this is a massive news for them. They miss so much, not only his goalkeeping, but also his distribution under 2.5 goals. If Mike Magnan is in goal, I cannot see Atalanta scoring too many goals under 2.5 goals, 2.05.
All right, still we have 4 more games in this match day. 2 on Monday, Verona, Fiorentina. I guess all the fans from Verona are targeting this game because finally they could be out of the relegation spots at home. They are getting the results, 3 victories and 1 draw in the last 4 home games. And Fiore, Dani, they could be in trouble actually if they lose this one. They got only 2 points in the last 6 games. It's awful, their form. Then they go to Europe and they thrash Braga away.
Well, they should say they should say to Fiorentina, this is a Conference League game. Think it's a Conference League game
on Thursday,
and you'll do well. Let them play on Thursday. I mean, 2 points in the last 6, as bad as Cremonese. That tells you the story. And this is a side that, compared to last season, it looks completely different. Worse, of course. 11 points less, 7 positions less than last year, less goals scored, of course. And what is concerning about Fiorentina is that they need an awful lot of shots to score a goal. They need to take so many shots to even have a sniff of the goal. Against Empoli, they had 27 shots, only 1 goal in the very last minute. Overall in Serie A, they are second for shots behind Napoli, but they score 32 goals less than Napoli. They only got the 15 attack of Serie A, Fiorentina, and they are first for corner taken. So that doesn't make sense. I mean, they create so much football. They go forward so much, sometimes in a disorganized way, but they cannot score. They don't clear-cut chances. Their attackers, Cabral, Jovic, I mean, Cabral scored in 2 back-to-back Serie A games, but they seem to be doing only in the Conference League. Barak, who I thought he was going to be one of the main men for them after a very good season at Verona, hasn't been scoring, I think, only 1 goal. And the rest of the teams either, they're not contributing much. I mean, both attacks, both Verona and Fiorentina are in the bottom 6. Italiano in the second half changed the formation against Empoli. They were a little bit better, but not enough to beat them. And Verona, I mean, against Roma, really, they were trapped in the web, in the spider web of Mourinho. Only 1 shot on goal, really, and it was the classic 1-0 win for Roma. A bit disappointing for Verona, considering all the absentees that Roma had in that game. They couldn't muster a proper chance, but normally they are good at home, and they're only 2 points behind Spezia, so this is a good opportunity for Verona to get out of the relegation zone. Look, considering all the shot stats, all the corner stats in favor of Fiorentina, you could go maybe for an Asian handicap corner -1, -2 for Fiorentina, a team that produces a lot, or maybe Fiorentina to have over 8.5 shots on target, shots overall. That could be another good one. But I'm going to go for Verona Asian handicap plus 0.25, which pays 193. Fiorentina are already qualified in the Conference League. Let's see how many changes they do for that game. But I doubt they're going to win this one at the Bentegodi. So if Verona draws, you win half your stake. If Verona wins this one, you go win 193.
Good odds to back the underdog in this game. Nadia is also going for Verona in this game with good odds. Actually, Verona to win is 3.75.
Nadia is giving us the correct results, by the way. It's not just giving us the winners. It's going to go Verona wins 2-1. Atalanta wins 1-2. Udinese, so Nadia is very precise in her in her prediction. Okay, congratulations.
Good
Well,
luck.
let's see how it goes.
Exactly. Good luck. Next game on Monday is Lazio Sampdoria. You mentioned Sampdoria. Unlucky losing to Bologna. I guess they are losing the hope because they are not getting the points. And Lazio, they have to win this one to be back to the top 4. And the good news is also Immobile scoring recently again.
Scored, and he's become the 8th all-time goal scorer in Serie A, and 191 goals for Immobile. The timing of the way he runs into the box, the coordination, the technique, the cool head. I mean, people put him in doubt, but I mean, find me at the moment a best Italian striker. I don't think there is one. Maybe it's a sad state of affair because he hasn't produced a lot in for the national team. But seriously, he's the best striker Italy has at the moment, and he's the best player Lazio has. He hasn't been scoring recently, and he scored 3 because he also scored in the Conference League against Cluj. But Lazio back on track now after a few hit and miss, few disappointing results. Also because Sarri is doing more turnover, is getting more minutes and getting more help by players who play less, like Vecino, Isai, Patrick, and they did well against Salernitana. They had chances. They missed a penalty against Luis Alberto, could have scored 3 or 4, but most importantly, they were solid at the back. That was the 12th clean sheet of the Serie A campaign. They got 6 more points compared to last season. As I imagined, overall, the team has improved in the second year with Sarri. We see better play, better patterns of play, especially the link plays on the wing. If you look at the first goal of Immobile from the assist of Marusic, the way 3 players combine to free up the pass for Marusic, that's Sarri textbook. But they're solid, they're good, even without Romagnoli, without their captain. It's important this game for Lazio. It will come on the back of a Conference League game in Romania against Cluj, which I think they will negotiate well, but they need to keep the pressure on that top 4 spot. Sampdoria, unlucky again, but I mean, at the end of the day, we always say it every week. This time, they missed chances in the first half, go back into the game thanks to Sabiri, had another penalty. Had Sabiri scored, finally they would have won the first game at home. He missed it the last minute. Orsolini scores. The ball is slightly deflected, goes into the bottom corner. They lose again, and really, I don't know. I mean, obviously they are better than before with Stankovic. Yes, I mean Stankovic has given something. I mean, the team plays more on the front foot, but they can't just continue like this. I mean, they're gonna go down. I mean, they need to start winning 3 or 4 games in a row. Will they win this one? No, they won't. Will they score? Maybe they will score, but I cannot see them winning. By the way, check the odds for Milinkovic-Savic to score or give an assist. He has done it since the last 6 games, so I think he's due one. Milinkovic-Savic. He did score against Milan a month and a half ago, but he was on the bench against Salernitana, so fully rested. I think he will be fully rested also in Romania against Cluj. So check the odds for Milinkovic-Savic. Anytime goal scorer or assist, Lazio to win, and over 1.5 goals, 195.
I mean, Sampdoria, they've scored 11 goals in the season. You cannot stay in Serie A with only 11 goals scored. So even Cremonese score more goals, 17. So Cremonese playing against Roma, but Cremonese, of course, still with no victories. They picked a point in Torino, but it's true, Dani, that they don't get thrashed when they are playing at home. They lose, of course, they lost the last 4, but they don't get thrashed. So perhaps we see another performance, 1-0 Roma Mourinho style performance in Cremona. Also, Roma, of course, this game is going to be played on Tuesday. They have time to rest after the Europa League game on Thursday.
That's why the odds for Roma are very high. Otherwise, if that was a game without a Europa League game in the middle, Roma would be around 155, 160. I mean, they're playing the bottom side of Serie A, who hasn't won a game. The only side in the top 5 leagues not to win a single game. So, but there is obviously the Europa League game for Roma. Cremonese against Torino, I like them. They are alive. They showed that with Ballardini, they're going to go to Serie B, of course, but they are alive. They are fighting, and they go into games with nothing to lose, really, mentality. In the second half, when they were 1 goal down, Ballardini took out a midfielder, Meite, put a Fenagian, so he played with 3 up front, and he paid off. They scored 2 goals, only to concede after 30 seconds and draw the game, which probably was a fair result for Torino. So don't underestimate the fact that Cremonese are going to go for it, as they did against Napoli a few weeks ago. They might lose because of the lack of quality and because the other teams have got more motivation and they are stronger. But, after all, credit to them not for throwing the towel. They conceded in the last 9, Cremonese. That's the real issue. They cannot keep a clean sheet, and that's really what is going to cost them. A side that has not won at home, by the way, so far this year. It's not the one at all. Roma, exactly. Roma. We'll see. Let's see. It depends what kind of game is against Salzburg. If you check the previous video on the conference in the Europa League, you will see. You need to see what we said in the video to know what was my prediction and Alvaro's prediction. 5th clean sheet of the new year, so another 1-0 win. Also have, same as Lazio, they got plus 6 points compared to last season, so obviously they have improved, although a part of the fans of Roma are not happy. Mourinho has been polemic against them, but I think with the materials that he had, with the injuries that to deal with, so obviously they didn't have Wijnaldum, now he's coming back, they didn't have Dybala for a long spells. Ibram is a doubt for this one. So with all the injuries, with all the issues, extra pitch, Zaniolo case, Kastrup case being frozen out, the injury to Spinazzola now is back. So everything considered, Mourinho has done a good job. They're not spectacular to watch, but they're very, very effective. Smalling suspended. Spinazzola is in good form. Wijnaldum, I think, is going to play at least half of the game. Let's see what happens to Abram, whether he's fit or not. Dybala should be fit. So there are a lot of question marks around it. And, of course, the massive game against Salzburg. At the moment, I'm leaning towards Cremonese Asian handicap plus 0.75, 197, which means if Roma wins by 1 goal, you get half your money back, you lose half your stake. Anything else is a win for you.
Well, check the lineups, of course, before betting in this game. Still far away on Tuesday, and Serie A has put the Juventus Torino game on a Tuesday, 8:45. This is Champions League time. This is Juventus old style, but this is a Serie A game, of course. Derby della Mole. And the numbers for Juventus in the Derby della Mole are very good. Torino, no matter how good they are, they always lose this game. And now, despite this 15 points deduction to Juventus, Juventus is on top of Torino, actually, on the standings.
That's incredible. And that tells you maybe how poor Serie A is. Minus 15, and the side can still finish 5th or 6th. I mean, without the points deduction, Juventus will be 2nd. And they will be plus 5 compared to last season. So I know they were starting the league to win the league. It didn't happen. The midfield didn't produce what they were expecting to. The front three, Vlahovic, Chiesa, and Di Maria, were rarely playing together. So sorted that issue. Juventus are on track for a stronger finish than last season, without the points deduction, of course. 16 clean sheet of the season against Spezia, but don't look at the scoreline. I think Spezia would deserve at least a goal. But, the return of the old guard, including Bonucci, of course, has helped them. And if we look at the numbers, the crude numbers, Vlahovic has already scored more goals for Juventus compared to last season. Kostic has given the 9 assists of the season in Serie A. Ken contributed to 5 goals, scored 5 goals. Di Maria, 3 goals and 2 assists. Chiesa is coming back to the side. As I mentioned, Bonucci is coming back. They don't look too bad in the league. Obviously, everyone was expecting Juventus to be on top, to be closer to Napoli, and to play better football. But I know that is not going to happen this season. It's not going to happen under Allegri, for sure. They will be without Locatelli in midfield, so that could be a concern. And of course, they got the cup final, that is the game against Nantes, because they've been so poor in Europe this season, and they need to win that game. They need to qualify, because the future of Juventus in Europe, of course, and the future of Allegri lies on that game, which is sad if you think about it. But that's down to them, because how poor they've been this season. I think I mean, again, go and look at the Europa League game video to see what we thought about Juventus. Nantes, Torino, they struggled to beat small teams. They done it every game of this season against small teams. They had struggle, and against Cremonese, they go cold a little bit. Then they were wasteful. It is a side, Torino, let's not forget, that has never scored more than 2 goals so far this season. Sanabria in goal has scored in ages at home, so it was the 5th goal of the campaign. We saw for the first time Ilic starting midfield, energetic, 20 years old, this time from Verona. Doubt whether Vlasic is going to play or not. Again, check the lineup. This is played on Tuesday, so basically it's played almost in a week after we are recording this video. So it's very, very difficult now to make a proper prediction. Juventus third best defense of Serie A, Torino 5th best defense of Serie A. Despite all of that, I'm going to go against the grain a bit. Both to score 2-17.
Wow, both to score. Usually we see Juve to win 2-0 in this Serie A. Well, this is the last game, Dani, we have in this match day. It's weird, the fixtures actually, that they go until Tuesday in this Serie A. But, Dani, tell me your safe bet.
Salernitana Monza over 1.5 goals, 136.
And your ACCA?
Lecce Sassuolo double chance X2, Udinese Spezia over 1.5 goals, Milan Atalanta double chance 1x, and Lazio to win against Sampdoria. You can see it here on the screen. Total odds 4.23.
Beautiful, Dani. Thank you very much. Good luck to everyone. Don't forget, if you enjoy our videos, of course, just press the like, Dani, subscribe, and see you next week. Bye.
Ciao. See you soon.